Ibn Kathir in Arabic. I have taken it out on internet. I wrote in Arabic in the search engine, Ibn Kathir 929. The tafsir of Ibn Kathir in its entirety in Arabic came up. This is the reference. If I'm lying, let people catch me as a liar. Okay, now the translation he read, even the translation is a lie. What did he read? So he fought the Romans so that he can call them to Islam. Is that what he read? Is that what he read? Okay. Let's see what the Arabic says. What? Janaza. Wait. Walihaza, word by word translation. Wait, guys. Walihaza, for this, tajhazu Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam liqital Rome. For this reason, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam moved to fight the Romans. Wada'a an-nas ila dhalik, and he called people to fight with him, the Romans. Not that he called people to tell the Romans to come to Islam. Nowhere in the Arabic you can read that. Instead, can you believe this? Can you believe this? But wait, I'm 100% serious.
What does it say the Romans attacked?
Get some Arab. Any Arab. Get a non-Muslim Arab to read this.
You don't even know anything.
Come here. Who knows the Arabic? Yeah, come.
Show me where it says the Romans attacked him. Please. You see, hide behind Arabic.
Wait. Look at the tatty, evil, lying translations. Translate from this. Walihaza. Come here. Read loud and translate word by word. Wait. Yeah, he's a Muslim, so he's a liar. Okay. Yeah.
You're right. Let's bring the Hindu.
Read. Just translate. Translate from there to there. Ila dhalik. Tajhazu.
You guys are professionals in Turkey.
Moving.
Who's Tokyo?
Okay. Yeah.
By the way, it's time. You know,
This is. Wait. No.
You're not respecting the time.
Wait.
Listen. This is walihaza. This word means and. That means he's been talking about something earlier. Lihaza, li means lamu ta'lil. Give you the.
Don't worry about that. Just translate. Don't get to the grammar. For this.
Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the Prophet moved.
Yes.
Liqitali Rum.
Yes.
Fight the Romans.
Yeah.
Wada'annasu. He called the people ila zalika to fighting the Romans.
Takbir! This is the now, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Wait. You can take extra time. You can take extra time.
Say.
Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
No. He's going
Wait.
to expose.
You can get extra time.
Went to fight Muhammad, yes or no?
No. I am only.
Daniel, he read something. I was behind there.
Okay. Yes.
I heard him.
Yes.
The translation was correct.
Okay.
And then he said, he called the Arab. I speak Arabic.
Yes.
And then I came.
Okay,
I speak
Omar,
the same
don't
thing.
divert.
What? He's not debating you. I am. Talk to me. He
He
only came to translate. He only came to translate.
He called me to confirm it.
Liars, they're going to lie again and again. Listen, did the Romans go to fight Muhammad?
How can we talk to people who call us liars?
Because you're lying.
No, you're lying.
Did the Romans go to fight Muhammad?
Ladies and gentlemen, wait. He is reading a translation of the same passage in his translation that for this Prophet fought the Romans, and he fought them to call them to Islam. You remember that?
But did they fight
Do you
him?
remember that?
Did they fight him?
Wait.
Did the Romans fight him?
Wait.
No, your time is over.
Wait.
Your time,
My time is over now. He's going to jump around the ring. Not let me talk.
That's not. No, you Muslims don't have order.
Okay, his time.
We agreed to that.
Your time.
You wait 4 minutes.
Comment. If you have any shame, comment this.
No. I'm gonna comment.
If you have any shame, comment on this.
Okay. So let me talk. I challenged you to.
Your missionaries don't help
where
you.
the Romans went to attack Muhammad. Muslims. Did he show me that the Romans went to attack Muhammad? Yes or no?
What?
Why are you quiet all of a sudden? No.
Yes.
I'm asking you
Yes.
a question.
Yes.
Audience,
Yes.
answer the question.
Yes.
All of you are Muslims.
Translate it twice.
Did he show me that the Romans went to attack Muhammad?
Yes.
Are you sure? Yes. Are you sure about that?
Yes.
No. He never read it. He said, no, he never. It's on camera.
What did I read? What did I read?
And your brain's not working.
calm down.
He said it clearly.
What did I read?
The Romans came to attack.
No, he never said.
Daniel, you're
He never
desperate.
said that.
You're
He never
desperate
said
now.
that. He never said that.
This is another Godwin. It's another Godwin moment.
Okay, listen.
It's another Godwin moment.
Listen, Adnan, listen.
This is gonna get famous.
You lied.
You're gonna become
and you're
famous. You're gonna
lie
thank me
again,
afterwards.
And you're gonna lie over and over
How many
again.
videos are we gonna have over?
Tafsir ibn Kathir is very clear.
When
yeah?
will you learn?
If I give you the benefit of the doubt that you said the Romans went to attack Muhammad, if I give you the benefit of the doubt, yeah? Ibn Kathir is contradicting what Muhammad said, it's contradicting what the Quran says. If I give you the benefit of the doubt, you still lose the debate. Why? Because Muhammad said the reason why people pay the jizya is for humiliation.
No.
I've read it in Sahih al-Bukhari. Don't say no. Don't say no. In Sahih al-Bukhari, chapter 55, book 88. I read it.
You don't understand.
I read it.
They're supposed to humiliation.
The reason why Jews and Christians pay the
Are you
jizya
timing it, by the way?
is for humiliation. It's very clear.
15 seconds.
It's very clear. So, if you're saying what the Prophet said is different from what Ibn
Okay.
Kathir said,
Okay.
different from what the Quran says, there's a problem in Islam, and we all know that. That's why.
Of course, there's a problem.
And accept Jesus, who's Lord and King. Amen. Now go.
Okay, thank you. When,
Ready?
Yeah.
Go.
When Christians start preaching, that means they've lost the debate. Okay. So that's clear. It is
not gonna
clear.
go over
It
2
is
minutes.
clear. It is clear that he was lying, not deliberately. I wouldn't say he was deliberately lying, but he. Okay, I'll give him benefit of the doubt. He was reading a translation which is false, which is wrong, which is a lie, because the Arabic says that the Prophet for this reason, Prophet fought the Romans, and he called the people to join him to fight the Romans. This is what the translation means. Okay. As for Bukhari, he read the report from Bukhari. If I was to read the Bible solitarily, some of the verses, go into the city of Amalekites, kill men, women, and children, and babies,
Donkeys?
suckling infants. The words suckling infants, do not leave them alive, even camel and donkey, and even.
What did the donkey do?
Okay. The question is, what did the donkey do? What did the camel do? And if I read the verse solitarily on its own, if I was to come here and say, Christians believe in killing men, women, and children, and suckling infants and donkeys and camels, right? What would you think I am? What would you think? Mad, liar, Dajjal, right? This is why I'm not going to say these things to him. He can decide what he is, right? They read our sources in separation, selectively. Now coming to Islam's history, if Muslims followed that understanding of these verses,
ISIS agrees
then
with them.
no, ISIS agrees with these people. Actually, ISIS agrees with Christian missionaries. ISIS learns Islam from J. Smith, right?
Baghdadi will close him.
Wait, yes, he would be agreeing with them. Our history, our civilization testifies to the fact that Jews and Muslims and Christians lived in harmony for centuries. Even the most lying of Christian missionaries will admit that. Because academically, there are so many books written on this topic. One book I will strongly recommend is Professor Thomas Arnold, Preaching of Islam.
Time is over.
I know you don't like it.
Time is
Sources,
over. No.
sources.
Time
You were
is
crying
over.
about sources.
Time is
One
over.
last sentence.
Have order.
One last
No.
sentence.
Have order.
Where's your Christian
Time is
love?
over.
You see how scared he
2
is?
minutes.
How scared
When
he
it's
is.
2 minutes for me, I stop.
He doesn't want me to talk.
When it's 2 minutes for you, you go to 4. It's
Go.
very, very, very funny, you Muslims. You don't even know the references, and I'll give you the references now, and you're like, oh, I'm going to side with it. Of course you're going to side with it. But it's very, very clear, yeah? I'm not going to go in a vicious circle here. I'm not going to go in a vicious circle. He never showed me that the Romans came to attack. That's a lie. I'm reading what the sources say. Can you give me, okay. What Muhammad said, Ali Dawa, you asked Adnan to debate, so you don't need to talk, yeah?
No, I was asking.
No, you asked him to debate.
You're killing your time.
No, when he was talking. He was talking.
You're killing your time.
So, can you give me the background of what Muhammad said about the jizya being for humiliation? You give me the background if I'm wrong. Sahih al-Bukhari, book 55, chapter 88. Muhammad's livelihood is under the shade of his spear. Whoever disobeys his order, they have to pay jizya as a sign of humiliation. If I'm lying, I challenge you, get the context out. Sahih al-Bukhari, book 55, chapter 88, I'll give it to you for the 3rd time, that this has got nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Show me. Prove your case. Because all you're doing is you're just talking and talking and talking, and you gave an Arabic writing of Ibn Kathir without the reference. You just said, oh, this is Surah 929. What reference did he give?
Read in Arabic.
What reference did he give? Tell me, what reference did he give? He said he gave a reference. What reference did he give? You're quiet now. You're quiet now. All you talk about is janaza time. Have a theological debate, yeah? And then see who wins and loses at the end. Don't talk about janaza in the middle. You're talking about janaza as if I'm the one who lost. You're the one talking about it. So, it's very clear. It's very clear. Adnan, you lied, and you're going to lie again. You're going to apply your taqiyya. Your prophet says pay jizya as a sign of humiliation. It's very clear.
It is very sad to hear or to realize that people. Yeah, of course, you're already finished. Okay, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, it is very disturbing that there are people like this in this world who actually believe in these things, right? Right? This is why people like this end up killing Muslims, innocent Muslims around the world. It's people like him who are teaching the U.S. Army. There are Robert Spencer, Pamela Geller, Jay Smith, yeah, haters, absolute liars who teach the verses, and you know what they do? This is exactly what they do. They go to these institutions, they have these selected quotes, selected quotes that are completely out of context, and they read them in front of people, and people think, oh my God, Muslims are such barbarians. But when we read the history of Islam, ladies and gentlemen, we come to realize the Treaty of Najran is there, and I'm reading word by word. This is the treaty between the Christians of Najran and the Muslims. Thus is the protection for the people of Najran, for the churches, for the bishops, for the crosses, for the idols, for the property, and for the cattle. No change whatsoever in the status shall be made. Number one. Number two, Treaty of Spain between Abdul Aziz bin Musa bin Nusayr and the Christian ruler of 7 cities. The ruler was called Gabdush. And the treaty states, and this treaty can be found in the book of Olivier Remmel, and the book is titled Medieval Iberia. You can go and check the treaty in this book, how the Muslims treated the Christians. And furthermore, go further. How did the Christians and Jews feel about it? He has never lived under Islamic rule. He has never lived under Sharia. He cannot talk about it. And Sharia doesn't want you.
Let's hear the ones.
Yeah. The point is, those who lived under Sharia,
listen carefully.
Christians and Jews, what did they have to say? Bahya bin Pakuda, writing in 1085 in Cordoba, a Jewish rabbi, states, I know you don't like it. I'm going to finish. I'm going to finish. Give me.
We said 2 minutes.
Out of your Christian generosity, give me 1 minute.
No.
Christian generosity.
No.
Out of your Christian generosity.
My Christian.
I'm going to continue. You can have 3 minutes. You can have 3 minutes.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Time's up. They don't want people to know. Time's up because they don't want people to know. They will let me shout for 1 minute, but they won't let me speak.
Okay, talk to me here.
Okay.
Can you conclude for 2 minutes? Conclude. I'll give you 2 minutes. Conclude.
Thank you.
Do your conclusion.
Okay. Yeah.
You ready?
I'm doing it now.
And then I'll do my conclusion.
Okay. No problem. For 2 minutes. Yeah.
There.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I was saying that those Christians who lived under Islam, Bahya bin Pakuda, Jewish rabbi, writing in Cordoba in 1085, states that our living standard is even better than the Muslims. Likewise, Amnon Cohen, who is a Jewish scholar from Israel, wrote a book in 1994 titled A World from Within, the sigil records from the 16th century. He studied the court records from the Ottoman period in Jerusalem for the year 1500 to 1570. For 70 years he read the court records, and in these court records he found 1,000 Jewish cases filed in the Sharia court, in the Muslim court. Why were the Jews coming to Sharia court? Because they found more justice. Who says so? Amnon Cohen, who is a Jewish scholar. Likewise, in the 9th century, in 850s, Patriarch Theodosius, writing in Jerusalem in the 9th century when the Abbasids were governing Jerusalem, he states, the Saracens, i.e. the Muslims, let us live in peace. They do not molest us, they do not abuse us in any shape or form, and they allow us to practice our religion with freedom. Theodosius. John Bar Penkaye, writing in the 7th century when Muawiyah radiallahu anhu was governing the Muslim empire, he writes that The peace throughout the world is such that we have never seen anything like it. And the list goes on and on and on. I have written a book on this topic, and the title of the book is Islam's War on Terror. Islam's War on Terror. You can find it PDF online. All the quotes and more is there, so that you can see the lying face of these missionaries.
So you can, it's 20 seconds left. You can clearly see this man has lived in Islamic State. The ones who have, look at their testimony.
No, Islamic, under Islamic law, not Islamic State.
Islamic.
Well, you know what Islamic State means?
Not that one,
Yeah.
So you can clearly see the ones who lived under that rule, how they testified. And you're talking about humiliation. Look, did any of them say we got humiliated?
Night, brothers.
It's been emotional.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting that you take what the Muslims say under the Roman Empire or whatever you said, more than what Ibn Kathir says, more than what the Quran says, more than what Muhammad himself said. I've read what Muhammad said. I have read what Ibn Kathir said, and I've read what your Prophet says. It's very clear as crystal, that jizya is for humiliation. You pay jizya to humiliate the Christians and the Jews under Sharia law. That's why I pay jizya. If I don't believe in Allah under Sharia law, I have to pay jizya, or I am killed. It's very clear. Therefore, all people of the world should be called to Islam. If they refuse to accept Islam, fight them till they are killed. These are the words of Muhammad. And the reason for that is to humiliate them. So Adnan is lying. He's lying again and again to protect his Islamic, whatever it is. It's taqiyya. It's in Surah 328. They are allowed to lie to protect themselves because they're the minority in society. But when they become the majority in society, that's when they say, pay the jizya or I'll kill you. Watch this guy when it's under Sharia law. You'll be a different guy. It's very clear. It's very clear.
I will give him this pile of money. I will give him this money if he can prove that we can lie to hide our religion.
The problem is,
if he can prove, I'll give him this money. It's about 300 pounds there. He just said, I'm a liar and I'm allowed to lie. To 300 pounds there, he can have it right now.
The fact that he's interrupting me is touching him.
Oh, no. I don't like people being lied to. I feel sorry for your audiences.
328, yeah?
300 pounds.
You can
300 pounds.
Sources. You can lie when you're the minority.
Do you want the money?
What did Ibn Kathir,
do you want the money?
Abu Darda say about?
Okay, I'll turn to my camera.
They said that.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it is clear that these people are not interested in contextualizing Islam. Rather, what they want to do is they want to lie to the masses. They want them to think that Islam is barbaric, it's an uncivilized faith. On the other hand, we have the Islamic civilization to be proud of. If we look at our civilization, for over 1,000 years, the Jewish people were protected by Muslims. Bernard Lewis, who recently passed away, aged 101, he died 101 years old. Thank you so much, Daniel, for lying. Go ahead. Thank you. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, Bernard Lewis, who was a Jewish historian, who died not more than 4 weeks ago, he recently died, aged 101. He has written a book titled Jews of Islam. Jews of Islam. In this book, he argues that the Jews were treated far better in the Islamic lands, in the Muslim lands, than they were in the Christian lands. This is a Zionist Jewish historian who was one of the main supporters of the State of Israel. In fact, he was advising the White House during the Iraq War and beyond. This is not someone who loves the Muslims. This is not someone who really wants Muslims to be in harmony and peace. Despite that, in his book, The Jews of Islam, he admits the fact that the Jewish people lived under Islam in peace and harmony for over 1,000 years. In fact, he goes further to state that 90% of world's Jewry, 90% of the world's Jewish people were living under the protection of Islam for over 1,000 years. If what these missionaries are claiming, that Islam aims to humiliate non-Muslims when Islam is in power, then he's obviously either misinformed or he's lying, because our history tells us otherwise. If we had a humiliating policy of the non-Muslims, Muslims governed close to 8 centuries in India. Muslims governed close to over 7 centuries in Spain. Muslims governed large territories of North Africa. In fact, the largest churches in the world, or the oldest churches in the world rather, are in the Muslim world. A lot of this rhetoric comes out of India as well, that Muslims, when they governed India, they desecrated temples, they massacred people. And you know who is pumping this rhetoric? Right-wing Hindu extremists, especially the government. Okay? Now you may be thinking, why is everyone after Muslims? Why is Burma killing Muslims? Why is the Indian government so anti-Islam and Muslims? Why in the West Muslims are being so dehumanized? Why is the question. There are two reasons. There are two reasons. Number one reason is that some powers, some people do not want Muslims to have political independence, lest they might create another Islamic civilization which might become a model for the world to follow. Give you an example. Take Qatar as an example. What we call in the Arabic language Qatar, right? The country. It is one of the most advanced countries in the world. Because they have money, they can afford to buy all the technology. And they are very religious. You look at them, they are dressed in religious garb. Their women are veiled. Can you call them an uncivilized society? Can you call them backward and barbaric? Any European who goes to Qatar actually starts to feel as if he has come to a different part of the world. Same goes for Dubai. Although Dubai is not a perfect example for an Islamic society, but when you go to Qatar or even Saudi Arabia.
What does this prove?
Sorry?
What does this prove?
What does it prove? It proves that Islam, if given the time and the resources and the freedom to prove itself to be a source of civilization, it can do that again.
But how is it better than Roman civilization, Greek civilization?
What civilization am I talking?
Civilization, so many other.
Ask me what I mean by civilization.
That's good in those respects.
Thank you for that.
What's the Pax Romana?
I'm not talking about technological advancement.
No.
I'm talking about where people can live in peace and enjoy a freedom, something close to what we enjoy in the West, to be very honest and straight. Western countries like Britain, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, minus the racism and xenophobia, are very tolerant countries. People are free to practice their faiths. People are free to go to the mosques. They worship as they like, and they are protected. This is something we had for 1,000 years under Islam. Similar situation. You may find it difficult to imagine that how can you have something like that under Sharia, under Islamic rule, but it happened. And I'm not saying this. Scholars, academics who have written books on this topic, they are saying this, that people, it was not a utopia, it was never perfect. There were periods of disturbances. In fact, there were periods when some Jewish people were killed in pogroms. It happened in Granada in the 11th century, in 1060s, when the Jewish population suffered. Okay, it also happened in other places. But the norm of the Muslim civilization throughout the world was that the Jews, Christians, Muslims, and Hindus, where there were Hindus, they lived in peace and harmony.
But the fact is,
Sorry?
if a certain power is conquering, because it's an expansionist philosophy.
Yes, yes.
Otherwise, why would you be right through the gold?
No problem, let me ask this question. No. So what's your question, sorry? If a civilization is expansionist.
Yeah, if you resist,
Yeah.
if a weaker, or maybe equal, but if you resist, then of course you'll get a very rough time. Once the conquering is taking place and the population is subdued, then they will find it politic to live as quietly as they can. And this happens. It happened under Islam. There might be very good periods within Islam.
I am saying it happened.
But it's happened with other.
I'm making a claim.
empires as well.
I'm making a
You
claim.
could argue the British Empire. I mean, it was peace where the British Empire.
Where was the peace?
It was.
Okay, where did the British Empire govern? Can you name me some places?
Once it's conquered, once the war is over, then there's
Where?
of course there's war.
Do you want to talk about India?
No,
Do you know what happened in India during the colonial period?
I've read something of it.
What happened?
And I'm not going to.
Let me tell you about it. Let me tell you about it. When the Mughals were governing India, wait. Now you've raised a very interesting question. I'm showing you how flawed your reasoning is.
I want to make a broader point, not a particular.
I understand your point. You're saying that when civilizations overpower others,
You're defending Islam on a basis, but at times, maybe for extensive periods of time, and in extensive geographical areas, there was peace and a political.
but I am saying Islam.
I would not disagree, but what I say is it doesn't prove that Islam is therefore the true and only religion.
I'm not arguing that.
Many other
I'm not arguing that.
could say the same thing.
I am arguing something else. I'm not arguing because Islam had so much peace and harmony under its shade, therefore it is true. I'm not arguing that. That's a straw man. No, I am arguing that Islam is, Islam was one of the best things that happened to humanity. That's what I'm arguing. Why? Why do I believe that? Islam was unique in bringing people together, right? During the Roman period, during the Greek period, during the Christian, the Catholic period throughout Europe, and during the colonial period, others or subdued people were not given the same opportunities as the conqueror. Okay? This happened throughout history. When the Greeks subdued territories, they called the other barbarians. When the Romans did it, they had the Romanitas, the Roman citizenship. If you're not a Roman citizen, you're fair game, okay? Then we had Catholics governing Europe throughout the Middle Ages. You know what happened to the Jewish people?
Oh yeah.
Yes? Okay. At the same time, in the Muslim Empire, in Spain, when Muslims were governing Spain, the Jews were the most powerful people in the society, to an extent that the Prime Minister was Jewish. Hasda ibn Shaprut was the Jewish Prime Minister of Spain when it was the most powerful country in Western Europe. Although, when the history of Europe is studied, of the Middle Ages or the medieval period, Spain is not discussed. Such is the Eurocentric and xenophobic mind of Western historians that when they study the history of Europe during the Middle Ages, the medieval period, Islamic Spain is not added as medieval Europe. It's not considered medieval Europe because it was an alien civilization. It was Saracens. Saracens, yes, it was Saracens.
I'm not sure the history you're talking about is true. I mean, when I was in school, you talked about British history. Not in French, German, Italian, let alone Spanish and Arabic, whatever. So, I mean,
were you taught Moorish Spain?
Just the limitation.
Were you taught Moorish Spain?
No, of course not. We weren't even taught about France.
So,
what was the second reason they don't want Muslim political independence? They gave the first reason, they gave the second reason.
what was the first reason?
The first reason was that we might establish Khilafah and it might be peaceful and people might live in...
No, the first reason is that some powers do not want the Muslims to have the political independence they enjoyed for over 1,000 years in the past because they were very powerful. Okay, some people have nightmares of the Ottomans or the Islamic Spain or even Mughals. They were very powerful, very influential. And to make one point, that during the Mughal period, when India was governed by the Mughals, who were Muslims, in the time of Aurangzeb, from the year 1699 to 1704, 25% of global GDP was in India. And when Britain left India in 1947, India's GDP was 4%. So clearly, colonialism, despite all the railroads, despite all the nice buildings and nice schools, colleges, universities, India was worse off. It was worse off when...
to see the figures now, but Aurangzeb wasn't a particularly good example in other aspects.
In what sense?
Wasn't he? I mean, I've got the facts, but Aurangzeb, there was two. There was one Mughal ruler who was very liberal.
And who's that?
I can't remember whether
You see, this is the problem. This is the problem.
It's a simple question of fact.
You use the word liberal to describe a Mughal emperor. If you studied their history,
One of them was.
I know the one you're talking about.
I mean, the Sikhs suffered very badly.
I know the one you're talking about. Let me tell you who was liberal. There are two individuals in the Mughal history. Some people hail as liberal or as epitome of...
Liberal's not a good word, sorry, but I should think
liberal is a good word because many people use that word for them. One is Akbar, Jalaluddin. On what basis do you claim that Akbar was liberal? Akbar did worse things than Aurangzeb did. In fact, if you want to use tolerance as your model or as your gauge to measure liberalism, or moral compass, Aurangzeb was far more liberal than Akbar. In Aurangzeb's state apparatus, more Hindus were employed than all the Mughals put together before him. There were three kings before him, very powerful: Akbar, Jahangir, and Shah Jahan, the father of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb employed more Hindus into his state apparatus than all three of them put together. Why was he illiberal, Aurangzeb? Because he was a strong Muslim. That's why people think, you see, this is what Eurocentric history has done, or colonial narrative of history. When you read the colonial narrative of history,
it's going to be different. If you're European,
sorry,
and non-Muslim, your perspective is going to be very different from if you're
not necessarily. Not necessarily. I'm saying Eurocentric.
perspective will be different.
I'm saying Eurocentric history. Let me explain what I mean by that.
We can aim for objectiveness, but it's very different.
You know, there was a military disaster in Afghanistan in 1842. Huh? First Afghan war, right?
But going back to Aurangzeb first,
I'm making a point.
I'm talking about the Sikhs
Sikhs.
and the warfare they had against
Yes.
Aurangzeb.
Yes.
Thousands of Muslims.
Okay.
So
What do you think happened?
He wouldn't allow them to have their own state or rulership or their, so in that
Not true. Not true.
some Muslim rulers may be able to.
No, not true. Not true. You make a valid point. This point is there. It's out there in public. People think that's the case. But I'm asking you, what did Aurangzeb do to Sikhs?
Well, it was in warfare.
Sorry?
Warfare. It was a warfare.
Why?
Because they had their own religion, their own state.
No. Hindus had their own religion. There were Jains there. There were Christians there in India. There were 50,000 different sects of Hinduism. Why Sikhs?
Yeah, it was a good question. Why?
Why? You tell me why.
I don't know. It's something about obviously.
Because Sikhs were rebelling against their king, who was Aurangzeb. Punjab was Aurangzeb's territory. He was governing it.
Of course, from that perspective, then it makes perfect sense. But I mean, it makes no more sense. I'm pretty sure India belongs to us. We're entitled to.
No. That's a good point you made there. That's a good point you made there.
No, hold that.
Yeah. British did not treat India like the Mughals did. The Mughals loved India. They did not see India as a golden sparrow or a big fat cow that has to be milked before.
The British did either, actually.
Sorry?
I'm not sure the British did either.
I'm not saying all British colonial administrators hated India. Most did. In fact, they couldn't take the heat. It was so hot in India in summer. Many of them, they had to retreat to places like Shimla and other hill stations to be able to...
But you know how many British, well, this is the figure I've read.
About 50,000. 50,000.
Yeah, only 50,000.
About 50,000 when they,
Only 50,000.
at the peak.
Totally different ball game from...
How many Mughals were there? How many Mughals were there in India?
How many Mughals? I don't know that figure. I don't know.
Not more than 100,000 at any time. They were the ruling class. They ruled. But how they treated India was not the same as the British treated India. How do we know that? The fact that the GDP of India was 24%, he doesn't want to be in the camera, was 24% of the global economy. It says a lot.
Sorry,
Obviously,
4%.
of GDP, yeah, under Mughal, under Aurangzeb. out of all people.
Yeah, but there was preceding centuries where India had been very wealthy, been trading for centuries before.
During the Mughal period.
It was prior to that.
India,
It was a very wealthy area.
can I say, India as a India as a national entity never existed before the Mughals.
No.
It was divided into petty states. There were states in the south, for example, during the medieval period, Vijayanagar. Then afterwards came the state of Bijapur and Golconda. Golconda mines are known. Apparently or allegedly, the diamond Kohinoor, the mountain of light, and the crown jewel, it came from Golconda mines, allegedly. Okay, and there were states in the north. So India was never a united entity. It were the Mughals who made India, India. Before that, it was Punjab, it was Rajput territory, it was the Jats. Okay, it were the Vijayanagars in the south, or the Marathas. Okay, this is how divided India was. The Mughals made it a national entity.
So then you go to the second reason of why they don't allow the Muslims to be politically independent. You gave us the first reason, you didn't give us the second reason. You said there's two reasons.
The first reason was that they cannot allow Muslims to be politically independent, lest there may be another Islamic civilization. Okay. The second reason is political subjugation to suppress Muslim voices because of Palestine. In the West, Palestine is a very sensitive issue. Okay. There's a reason why media demonizes Muslims, because the media doesn't want the masses to take Muslims seriously on the question of Palestine. That's my theory.
Is it the same with apartheid? Because the whites and the blacks then, was it a similar thing back then? Or
Possibly. History always repeats itself. It's happening again, where the media, in the past, you're right, blacks were demonized as savages, as uncivilized barbarians, and the whites will civilize them, firstly by giving the religion, and then by showing them how to eat in a gentlemanly fashion.
So would you say this is
on
why
the table.
Erdogan uses Palestine as like a political tool for himself?
Possibly, possibly. So Palestine has become a card, in some cases a powerful card for Muslims. That's one of the reasons why Muslims are being demonized. And I think we will end there. My voice is, I'm losing my voice and I have to pray as well. Thank you so much. Okay guys, nice talking. Nice talking.
Introducing Billboard Pal, the mobile billboard. With your Billboard Pal, you can advertise anywhere, anytime. Just find your target audience and make unlimited connections. Billboard Pal makes advertising fun and affordable. Stand out from the crowd. Your future customers are ready to meet you.
كتاب الله دستوري كتاب الله دستوري وخير الخلق أسوتنا
بسنته